Chapter 8. The Morning. Saturday's sunrise spilled pink across the lake. Anna Lee, unable to fall back asleep, watched the early morning brighten and shift through the warm colors of waking. The guest room Mary had set up for her last fall was cool and silent. As Anna Lee stood looking out the window, she couldn't keep her mind on the present, and she was much too nervous to even begin to consider the future. It was an excited bundle of anxiety, but it still made her stomach drop and her head spin. This afternoon, she would be married. This early, the house was still quiet. There was only the slight shifting groan of floorboards, the whisper and hiss of bedsheets being tossed around in Mary's room as she had another fitful sleep. She'd been having a lot of those lately, probably due to the odd hours she kept, staying up all night planning, ensuring that every last detail would be perfect. Some nights Anna Lee could hear her talking to herself. It always sounded like arguing, but she could never make out any specific words through the walls. With one last look out the window to the lake and woods below, Anna Lee left her window to creep from her room and down the hall. She hadn't fully decided to visit William, but before she could stop herself, she'd eased the door open and tiptoed inside. Unsurprisingly, he was still asleep. Since she'd known him, he'd slept the same, sprawled across his bed and knotted in blankets with pillows askew. That morning when she found him, he was lying on his stomach, the bedsheets twisted around his legs as if he had been fighting them off all night. His head rested under one of his arms. She stepped closer, picking a pillow off the ground and whispering his name. "William?" He stirred but didn't wake, only turned his head toward her voice, further mussing up his unruly hair. She smiled to herself, replaced his pillow, and lay down next to him, curling her hand around his. She couldn't stop watching him, trying to remember every moment. She had the urge to memorize him now, to study every angle of his face, count the freckles over his cheeks, or touch every patch of scruff on his jaw. She wanted to remember him as he was now, asleep and at peace. She felt as if everything would change tonight, and she wanted to be able to notice the differences. The years they'd spent together floated through her memories in just a few stuttering heartbeats. It felt like she'd met him yesterday, like she'd known him forever. Anna Lee's nerves melted away when she was this close to William. Perhaps the future wouldn't be as terrifying as she believed. The unknown didn't have to be scary. Possibilities were hopeful. There was so much to live for, so many maybes and what-ifs, that life could be whatever she made it. Anna Lee didn't need to worry over questions about tomorrow when she had William. As long as they were together, there was nothing to be afraid of. Gently, she pressed her lips to his knuckles and closed her eyes, burrowing closer to her William. Destiny danced around their entwined bodies, quiet and melancholic.